Peace and love, family. So, there's a reason as to why nobody told you you are empath. Nobody mentioned anything. You were in school. They told you the mechanics, physics, and all these geographies. Nobody told you as an empath. Nobody told you anything about narcissistic abuse. Now, as you're starting to wake up, you finally understand why. It was by design. You see, when you know who you are, nobody can tell you otherwise. When you finally know who you are, when you wake up one day and you say, okay, now I understand what I am or who I am, whatever, nobody can tell you otherwise. Okay? Nobody can tell you otherwise because you know who you are. So, one of the things I realized along my journey, if you're empath, I would almost say 90% of the people that are buzzing around you, they want your energy. So, you see, is the reason why nobody told you about empathy, narcissism, energy vampires. Nobody mentioned those things. They would hide them a little bit and water it down a little bit. For example, if you went to church and the pastor said, oh, you know, the demons and this, but nobody really told you. They live amongst us. So when you're empath and you knew what was happening all these years, you would stop being a food source. You see, there is people that cannot survive without energy. There is people that are hollow, okay? They are hollow, they are soulless. There is vessels that moving around and there's nothing in there. There's no soul, there's no, you know. So those vessels, some people want to talk about NPCs, you know, they don't have a soul. They don't have inner that inner spirit. So they're just shallow. Is why sometimes when you're with people and you kind of talk with them, you feel like you've been wasting a lot of time. You guys have been talking and you thought that they was getting what you were saying. You almost thought they was getting what you're saying. But they was just reading a script. They was just following the script. And anything that is outside of that script, they don't understand it. So eventually you felt it was like wasting time. This was it was a waste of time. It was useless conversations. They was just draining your energy. You see, I have had an encounter with the greater narcissist. I've told you guys, the spiritual narcissist. I don't know what that narcissist was doing or used to do, but for some reason, one of the things I remember, this narcissist would disappear in the night. You know, when you guys are sleeping and somebody, you know, all of a sudden you turn around and somebody's gone. And they run out of bed and you don't know where they have gone. You know, and sometimes I'm not paying a lot of attention. You know, you're sleepy, then you wake up in the morning, you see them coming out from the other room. They just come out of the blue from the other room. Oh, where have you been? Oh, you know, I was uh I went to the other room to because it was too hot or something. They do something. They find some kind of an excuse. And you could wake up, I could wake up, and I didn't know what exactly happened to my energy. I almost felt it is like somebody brought a pump and sucked out all my energy out of my body. That's how I used to feel. To the degree where even in the morning, that particular morning, many mornings, it was not only one. I would wake up with headaches, unexplainable headaches. I didn't know where they were coming from. A spiritual narcissist, the witches, spiritual narcissists, and all those warlocks, they are also psychic vampires, you know. They are not only energy vampires. Yes, they need the energy, but they're also psychic vampires. So they go into your psyche. They go very deep into your psyche. There was one incident I remember, even I woke up one morning, and how is it a coincidence that we had the same dream? How is it a coincidence that we both had the same dream? We went to sleep, okay? And we woke up and we all had the same dream, similar dreams. We were talking about the same thing. So that is when I knew that there was something going on. I was very lucky to be able to identify that witch. Now, you see, one of the things you realize when you're empath, people are not interested in... the empath pretty much, they enjoy your kindness. It's good. It's a good feeling to be with somebody kind, and, you know, they like to be around you, you're kind, and there's things they can get from you. It's okay, it's nice and a good feeling. But if you come to look at it, they need more than kindness. Because you have this vessel, empty vessel, soulless vessel, soulless being. You know, is now I'm waking up and I'm starting to remember, to realize that there have always been soulless beings. There have always been NPCs around me. Soulless beings, energy vampires, you know, witches, warlocks. I'm just starting to realize that all these people have been around. But you see, I wasn't paying attention at the time. Now I'm realizing that they've always been here, and I've always been actually interacting with these people. You know, I believe that the best thing that ever happened to somebody was you awakening. The moment you awakened, everything flipped. So when you're empath, like I'm telling you, I'm mentioning now in this video, is your energy. Is your energy. It has always been your energy. You know? How do you explain being with an individual for a couple of years and then you guys broke up? Something happened, you broke up. You know, people fall apart, is okay, it's normal, it happens. Some relationships don't work, some do. But now, that so-called ex-husband of yours or whatever, ex-partner of yours, even as you are still packing your bags, there was somebody else. You haven't even yet fully packed out of the house. You are still coming around to pick your belongings, only for you to look around and there with somebody else. How do you explain that nonsense? So how do you explain that nonsense? You haven't even started the healing yet. Actually, let's not even talk about the healing. You haven't even left the vicinity. There with somebody else. Now that we didn't know those years what was going on, it is when you're starting to understand. In this time now, we're starting to understand, you know, due to the information now. We got the knowledge, we got the information at the time. Now you're starting to figure out and understand that for them, it was a very vital moment. When you left, they could continue getting a new, fresh energy supply. Because we all understand now at this moment that we are educated and aware about narcissism. Now we understand that without that energy, the narcissist will collapse. We didn't know those things many years ago, but now we understand that even without energy, the narcissist is going to collapse. They will collapse. A narcissist collapses without energy. You know? So they move on very quickly to get somebody else because they need somebody. They need a very quick replacement. They need a quick fix. Your job is done, you leave, they need somebody else very fast. A replacement. Very, very quick, ASAP. And you're there wondering, so what's going on with this individual? What's happening? You know? Narcissism is the only thing that they have hidden from you. You know? And there might even be a deeper name for those narcissists, just because that it's the narcissist that we know now that has been talked about. The name that was, whatever the name came from, but In my understanding, there could even be a deeper name for that spirit. There could be a deeper name that we haven't been told. In my understanding, okay, is my opinion. Because when you've been with these individuals, you have a different way of understanding humanity, human nature. You have a different interpretation of human nature the moment you wake up and you understand what is narcissistic abuse. When you're empath, yes, it's your energy. They just want your energy. There's nothing else. And as soon as they have finished their job sapping your energy, they are ready to discard you and move on. Because you're dealing with a soulless being. You know? You're dealing with a soulless being. Witches, not only do they want your energy, they even want your destiny. Okay? So they want to get very deep into your psyche even to siphon your destiny. These are very horrible. I don't know why the world hasn't been talking about these things. It's horrible. Ladies and gentlemen, when you start to wake up, you will realize how horrible things have always been. The most important information you will ever find is awakening one day and realizing everything they never told you. Everything that wasn't told. Everything they never told you. You know? So those individuals are, do not get it twisted. As long as you know there's an individual around you and you can sense, that energy will always tell you something is off. You will know that something is off. There is something that doesn't add up. And you're trying to make sense of everything. You will see how they move. You can see the way they behave. You may see the way they do different things. And you will know there could have been something off, because it's just because you cannot pretty much put a finger to it, but you will know that there's something off. So basically what happens, you will open your doors, because that's what your empaths do. That's what we've always done, being an empath as well. You open the doors, you say, okay, come in. What's going on? Friendship, okay, relationship, whatever, this, that, okay. And they go to work. And by the time you really understand what is happening, it's been some years of energy swapping, energy theft, energy stealing, energy vampires. Anybody that is coming around you, I can promise you, they're not interested in your welfare. They're not interested in what is happening with you. They want your energy in any setting. You don't have any idea how many of those individuals I've dealt with. And sometimes when I'm saying these things, people they don't think, people think I'm not serious about it. I've dealt with these people, you know. The ones who have crossed my path, they know. When they come across these videos, they will know that we have dealt with them. It's because I never mention. When I'm doing my own thing, I don't mention people. Okay? I can teach something without mentioning people's names. But I know who they are and they know who they are. Okay? Witches, warlocks, narcissists, covens, all of them. Different versions. I've dealt with them. And there's no other better teacher than the one that has gone through that experience. That is the one who knows. They have been in the battlefield. You have got to understand empaths. It's always been your energy. You have got to realize, you have got to open your eyes and realize you have always been the source. Many people never gave you credit. Okay? A lot of people never gave you credit. But you have always been the source of their energy. You've always been the generator. You are the one who used to bring in that power, pumping that energy, pumping that fuel. You are the one. You are the one that was depending on. That's why you see sometimes when you're leaving those individuals, it's like they're losing it. It's like they feel a certain piece of them is leaving their body because they don't know what they're going to do. you know. It's always been your energy, my chosen ones. Because when you're dealing with energy vampires, they will never fully give you the credit you deserve. Even some of the things, they will say it was them. They'll never mention your name. A lot of times when they do with these individuals, when anything happens, any little victory, any small victory, they will never actually give you the credit. But behind the scenes, they know that it was you. It was your presence. Sometimes when they are going to campaign for these big positions, mayor, these, whatever positions they have in those offices, because for them it's all about getting the positions and the power and accumulating the money. That's all they're running for. You will see them usually getting big victories, but there will be somebody behind the scenes, the energy sources behind the scenes, but they'll never mention that person. They have got a fuel source at the back on their side, but they'll not mention that person. So as you start to, or you start and continue to evolve, you will always start to value your energy. You will always now believe and know that your energy has always been your greatest asset. But because there were some people that wanted a piece of it, they never wanted you to know. Even your parents knew from the very young age. They knew about your energy. They knew it. Those parents, they knew. The wicked ones, they knew. So they hid this from you. As they was pushing you further into deeper trauma and vibration, deeper frequencies, they were siphoning your energy. The more they traumatize you, the more they siphon your energy. That's how it works. It's an exchange, but they have to traumatize you to siphon your energy. So that's why you've been suffering with narcissists day in, day out. It is through the trauma. The narcissistic parent, yes, they traumatized you. Boyfriend, husband, they traumatized you. And that is how they used to siphon your energy. All these destiny swappers, that's what they do. First, they need to traumatize you so that they can, break your protection and siphon your energy. Is what they do. All those warlocks, witches, the same thing. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. I know that those warlocks, they don't want us to say these things. They get very pissed when we tell you the truth. But that is what it is. Okay? It's time to wake up. The ones that are awakened, congratulations, because now you know what time it is. So, there is individuals that are working on this planet. And they are soulless, is what I'm trying to tell you. They are soulless. You just see something moving around, but it's why some people even use the word bots. They're like bots. It's like a robot. It's just possible. You see somebody moving, but there's no essence inside. There's no spirit inside. They're just like an empty vessel moving around, just with an attachment of different demonic spirits. Because there's a difference between those spirits. Because when you're soulless, so that means that your body is a portal. Your body becomes a portal to be taken over by different entities. Okay? So you will see a person that you recognize, but there's a different spirit. There's a different spirit operating within them. Is what I'm trying to tell you. So they do not have a soul, original soul. Their soul, I don't know what happened. Maybe they are like NPCs, so they never had one anyway. Or maybe they had one, it was corrupted, or maybe they sold their soul and they're just moving around like empty bots. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. It's unbelievable. They are soulless, and they're working amongst us. Okay, so there is things you cannot unknow. And there is clearly some things you cannot unsee. The moment you see them, and you will know, you cannot unknow these things. And that's how it has always been, ladies and gentlemen. But it's good to be aware. Okay, it's good that we, you know, we get it. We give you this information to be aware, because now you can find the ways to protect yourself. You know. Okay. You have to be careful with everybody that comes around you. When you're empath, it's very important to understand, even if they may not fully know, because they may not be fully awakened to understand these things. But there's an unconscious battle for your energy, where people just keep on gravitating towards you, pulling in and out of your life, is because they are coming in to siphon your energy. You are an energy battery, is what I'm reminding you, that you are an energy battery. And there is people that are very low in frequency, and they need your battery to survive. That's how they thrive, but they will never give you that credit, and they will never tell you anything about this. Awareness is key. Knowledge is power. Let us know what you think. You guys know I do love and appreciate your support. Please book a session if you want to. You might always donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will see you guys in my next one. There's the most signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.